Welcome to Unicorns Talk Podcast, your weekly girl talk about Black women, our healing, and manifestation. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and together we're going to live, laugh, and learn to love all of life's little messes. While I am a licensed clinician, please keep in mind that this show is not a substitute for your own relationship with a mental health provider. Let's go. Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 44 of Unicorns Talk Podcast. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, and as always, I am super happy to be here with y'all today. I had an amazing, awesome, and amazing weekend here in South Florida this weekend. I attended the South Florida Women of Color Empowerment Conference on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I have to say, I was blown away by how powerful it was. Y'all know that I'm new to South Florida, and so I've really been craving like some interactions like this because I just don't really know anybody in this area yet. And it's been a while since I've been able to kind of settle down and get involved in the community because I travel so much with my job. So this was the first time in a long time that I've really been able to kind of start putting down some roots and getting back to participating in the community, which is what I actually really love to do. So, like I've been doing it since I was a little girl. Like it's so ingrained in me. It's like second nature. And so not being able to do it for the last few years has been really hard. So I'm really glad that I got a chance to kind of get back into it. And I'm going to talk a lot more about it in the high five segment of the show. And in today's reality check, really kind of stems from my experience over the weekend as well, because I think it brought some realities to my some realities about myself to the forefront. And so I really had to. So today's reality check is more for me than it is for y'all, and I'm going to be sharing a reality that I had to check myself about as a result of attending the conference this weekend. And so I'm really excited about the show today. I feel like y'all are really going to enjoy it. And as always, that makes me smile. Okay. I also wanted to let y'all know that I am going to be hosting a Lunch and Learn webinar this Friday, September 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern. And it's going to be called Unlock the Law of Attraction in Your Life. And so I'm really excited about this webinar, y'all. It's going to be like bananas. It's going to be awesome and amazing. And you definitely need to be in the building. It's free to register for the webinar and attend the live recording. And the replay is going to be made available for purchase. Now, I highly recommend that you register for the webinar, even if you know that you're not going to be able to attend, because it's at 11 o'clock. So everybody's not going to be able to attend. But I highly recommend that you register, even if you know you're not going to be able to attend, because I'm going to be making a special offer to those who register to be able to purchase the replay at a special discounted rate. But it's only going to be for a limited time before the price goes up. So make sure you check out the link in the show notes to register for my free webinar this Friday, September 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, called Unlock the Law of Attraction in Your Life. Okay. If you haven't already, please be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you listen to your podcast right now. All right. Make sure you use the hashtag Unicorns Talk Pod across all of your social media and let me know that you're listening. And make sure that you're sharing it in your stories and things like that, like share it on your timeline and all of that. You can feel free to tag me in your post. You can tag me directly at Latrice Sampson Richards, or you can tag the podcast at Unicorns Talk Pod, so I can see it, and I'm absolutely going to repost it. And, I might even give you a special shout out in the weekly episodes. So make sure y'all are checking that out and doing that for me. Y'all know I love when y'all communicate with me. I tried to increase my communication with y'all this week. I asked a question or whatever, but the app that I used to post, girl, it played me. It won't let me be great. It was trying not to let me be great, but that's all right because I figured that thing out, and I'm getting it on track. I told y'all I'm looking for a social media intern. So if you out there and you listening and you like, girl, I could have helped you with that, then you know you need to holler at a sister or whatever. Shoot me an email at unicornstalkpodcast at latricesampsonrichards.com and we can make that happen. All right. Okay. So let's get into today's topic because it's really good and I'm really, really excited about it. Module 5 of my free Empower Your Vision Masterclass is titled Overcoming Blocks and Obstacles. And so in that module, I explained that the difference between blocks and obstacles is that blocks originate within you while obstacles originate outside of you. Now, that doesn't mean that they are outside of your control. It's just that they don't have anything to do with who you are as a person. All right. So in my work, I tend to focus on the blocks because, in my opinion, this is the area that most of us struggle in, or the area that we struggle in the most, whether we realize it or not. Okay. Usually, it's easier for us to address our obstacles because sometimes it's as simple as identifying what's missing and just seeking it out, right? Because obstacles are things like skills, utilities, like environmental shifts, things like that, right? Blocks, on the other hand, are much more complicated because they require us to get introspective. All right. They require us to get introspective and they force us to kind of take a look at all of the shit that we've been trying to ignore over a very long period of time. For some of us, it's been months. Like we've been trying to, act like or pretend that this particular thing doesn't exist for the last few months. Some of us, it's been years. And for some of us, unfortunately, it's been decades. Like we go through things and we hold on to these things. And, we struggle to let go of them. Okay. So, all this week in Trust Village, we've been talking about self assessment. And we learned this week that checking in with ourselves regularly significantly increases our likelihood of success. It also allows us to course correct as we move through our journey, and it helps us to keep in alignment in terms of like vibrating at the same frequency as our vision. We also learn that we have to be aware of the mental and emotional blocks that attack us like piranha, eating away at us from the inside out. So today we're going to build on that information. We're building on what we've already learned this week, and we're going to take it a step further. So today's topic is who gonna check me, boo? I love that's like the one good thing that Sheree gave us, other than the She by Sheree that never actually manifested, I don't believe. But like I say that all the time. Who gonna check me, boo? So that's today's topic is who gonna check me, boo? And I'm gonna be sharing with y'all my 4-step system on how to confront and resolve those mental and emotional piranha. Okay, let's get started. So, before we really get into fact checking, which is the system that you're going to use to overcome your mental and emotional blocks, it's important for us to understand what and it's important for us to understand how and that your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are connected. So we already know that our thoughts and emotions are deeply connected to each other because I say it all the freaking time. So if you've listened to anything that I've ever done at any point in the last 2 years, then you've heard me say that there is a deep, deep connection between our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors or our actions. Okay. And but each one is excuse me, for the purpose of our discussion today, I want you to associate the thoughts and the emotions with your blocks and the behaviors with your obstacles. Okay. So your thoughts and emotions are connected to your blocks and your behaviors are connected to your obstacles. And we're going to come back to that later. It's going to make more sense for you. Okay. But keep in mind that these three, they go hand in hand in a process that I like to call the Holy Trinity of internal processing. All right. Internal processing happens in a cyclical fashion, meaning that we cycle from one point to the next over and over, looping back around where the outcome becomes the trigger, and we do it over and over and over again. All right. When it comes to internal processing, every thought has a feeling attached to it. Every single thought or belief, if you want to call it a belief, right? Every thought or belief has a feeling attached to it. Every feeling has a behavior, and every behavior has an associated thought, and vice versa. All right. Because of this connection, it can be extremely difficult to shake back when you find yourself in a negative headspace. So it starts with an event, right? Like typically a traumatic event or some kind of significant event. But keep in mind, it's what is significant to you, all right? What is significant in your life? It's not based on societal standards. Because sometimes we let people talk us out of our, like the validation of our traumatic experience because it wasn't as bad as what they experienced. Well, what they experienced ain't got shit to do with you. Okay? If it happened to you in your life and you were significantly impacted by it, then it's real. It's real and it matters. So you need to create your own marker of what is traumatic and what is not traumatic. You cannot base your decision or your experience of something based on what somebody else's experience of something worse was. Okay. So it's about what was significant to you. All right. So you experienced this thing, this traumatic thing, and I'm sorry, excuse me, so you experienced this traumatic thing in your life, and you are trying to process it. So maybe I woke up late for work this morning, right? I woke up late for work this morning, and then there is a thought process or a belief that is triggered as a result of that experience, right? So the thought process then is, I'm always messing up, or I'm going to lose my job, or, I just can't get my shit together, right? That's the thought that's triggered as a result of the experience of waking up late this morning, all right? And then that triggers an emotion or a feeling. So maybe stress or disappointment or hopelessness, helplessness, anger, frustration, all right? Depression, all of these are the negative emotions that are associated with the idea that I'm going to lose my damn job, or the idea that I'm always messing up. I can't never get nothing correct. I can't never get nothing right, right? So now I'm having these negative emotions, and that triggers a behavior or action. Maybe I'm going to lay back down and I'm just giving up. Fuck it. I can't never do nothing right anyway. I may as well say fuck it and just lay back down. They're going to fire me anyway, so I may as well just not even go, right? So that triggers that behavior. Okay. And then there's always an outcome to that behavior, right? Because every behavior that we engage in has a consequence or outcome in some way, right? There's always a consequence of our behaviors, of our actions. And then depending on what that outcome is, we might begin to kind of see that outcome as another event, which starts the cycle over and over and over. All right. You get what I'm saying here? And so we end up on this really vicious cycle that we're going through these negative experiences, constantly having these negative thoughts, these negative feelings. And eventually you kind of get to a point where you're just like, God damn, like I need to get off this train. Right? Like sometimes, and sometimes it happens so quickly that you don't even realize that it's happened. It happens so fast. So a big part of being able to break the cycle is slowing down enough to catch that. But I want you to understand that the deeper these thoughts or beliefs and feelings are ingrained in you, the faster you move through this cycle. And so it makes it just that much more difficult for you to catch it and address it. And I'm not sharing this with you to try to discourage you. Like, I'm not trying to discourage you at all. But I want you to know what you are up against so that you can be prepared. Okay? So you can be appropriately prepared. It's important for you to understand that it happens like this. And it's not just happening like this for you, but that this is what human beings go through. I want to normalize this for you so you can stop being so hard on yourself for getting sucked into this cycle every single time. Okay? Because you don't have time to hold a pity party for yourself every time you go through this cycle. You need to be about the business of figuring out how to strategically break that cycle so you can get on to living your best life for real, for real. All right. So we're not excusing the behavior and we're not using, the fact that this is a thing as an excuse to stay in the place where you are. But just, you know, don't be so hard on yourself because you're not the only one that's dealing with this. This is how human beings process. Until we learn a better way of processing, this is our default. Okay. So we have to be able to interrupt that cycle at some point. All right. In order to disrupt that cycle, you have to confront those negative thoughts or belief systems and confront those negative feelings. So many of us are afraid of confrontation, but to confront something is to address it head on. And that's really all it is. Confrontation does not have to be a negative experience. All right. How we handle confrontation or how we approach confrontation is what makes it a negative experience. But it doesn't have to be negative. And in reality, confrontation is necessary. All right. It is a very necessary part of life. You have to be able to confront things in order to resolve them. Confrontation yields resolution. And if there is no resolution, the cycle is not broken. Point blank, period. And you will find yourself back in this place again. It's just a matter of time. Confrontation yields resolution. All right. So I know by now y'all kind of looking at your phone or looking at your radio, whatever it is you listening to, and y'all like, damn trees. Right? Like, how am I supposed to do all that? How am I supposed to do all that? Well, don't worry, girl. I got you, boo. All right. I created a 4-part system that I teach in the masterclass to guide you through the process of confronting your mental and emotional blocks so you can resolve them and break those cycles. So, when you find yourself in the middle of a negative internal processing cycle that is affecting your life and really affecting your ability to manifest, there's some questions that you have to ask yourself. You have to be willing to ask and answer for yourself in order to confront and resolve them. All right. So, what you're going to do is fact check your mental and emotional blocks. Okay. Fact check. FACT. So, let's get into this. F stands for fiction versus nonfiction. All right. Is this based in reality? Or am I creating this in my mind? What actually happened? Remove the emotional component from the experience and consider just the raw data. What actually happened? Okay? And y'all know what I mean when I say that, right? Because sometimes, like the ghetto boy said, my mind be playing tricks on me. Dun, 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 dun. No, y'all know the song, right? Y'all know the song. We can get really mean to ourselves when we're in that negative headspace. And sometimes we can create situations and scenarios that don't actually exist. So you want to ask yourself, is this real? Is this based in reality? Is this event, is this feeling, is this situation, did this really happen? Or is this something that I'm creating in my mind? The notion that I'm not worthy of love and success, is that real? Is that fiction or is that nonfiction? What evidence is there to support that? What is the evidence that says unequivocally that I am not worthy? You get what I'm saying? Is this fiction or nonfiction? If you find that you are genuinely based in reality, then allow yourself to process the emotions associated with that thought or belief and create a plan to overcome it and move on to the next step, which is A, we're going to talk about. Okay. If not, then you need to adjust that belief or expectation so that it can be in alignment with reality. All right. And see how that impacts your experience of it. Okay. All right. Let's move on. A is for appropriate expectations. All right. Appropriate expectations. Were my expectations appropriate to begin with? What was I hoping to get out of this experience? What was I hoping to get out of this partnership, this relationship, this venture if you're talking about business, right? Was that an appropriate expectation based on the reality of the situation? Do I have appropriate expectations? Okay? Was I setting myself up for failure and heartbreak to begin with because I had inappropriate expectations for this relationship or any inappropriate expectations for this experience? You get what I'm saying? Were my expectations appropriate to begin with? This is going to require you to be extremely open and honest with yourself about where you are. If you find that your expectations were appropriate, then again, process that and move on to the next step. If not, then you need to allow yourself the space to grieve that loss. Grieve the loss of whatever you thought was going to happen and accept the reality of what it is. And then get about the business of creating more appropriate expectations moving forward so that you can prevent this from happening again in the future. Okay? So, A is appropriate expectations. And I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but like at this point, but if you don't have your pen and paper out writing this shit down, you need to get your whole life together, okay? Because why would you not have your pen and paper ready to write this shit down, okay? This is like real deal steps here. So y'all need to be writing this down so that you can actually utilize this in your life, okay? All right. Let's move on. C is capable. C is capable. Do I currently have the capacity for this? Or can I make this happen? Am I capable of making this happen? If not, what resources do I need to increase my capability? All right. So this speaks to the resolution of your obstacles. All right. Sometimes we internalize things that just do not belong there. Okay. Remember, obstacles originate outside of you. So you have to find the appropriate resource to fill those deficits. And again, this requires personal vulnerability. Maybe there was another way I could have handled this situation. Could I have done this differently? Could this have happened differently? Was this actually something that was outside of my control, or am I lacking the resources that I need to do it the right way or to do it better? Okay? What do I need to gain in order to do things differently next time? It doesn't speak to who I am. It doesn't speak to my intelligence level. It doesn't speak to my motivation level or my drive or my ability to lead. Like, it doesn't speak to those things. It doesn't say anything about who I am as a person. It just speaks to what it is I need to be successful. Okay, what are the obstacles I'm facing to be successful? All right, identify those things and seek them out. Don't take it personally. It doesn't say anything about who you are, but rather where you are and what you need. And those are easily remedied by humbling yourself and getting the help you need to increase your skill sets or to gather the resources necessary to ensure future success. Okay? So C is capable. And finally, T stands for timid. Is this a product of fear? Am I reacting from a fearful and emotional place? If so, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Fear is a product of the unknown. Therefore, the most effective way to manage fear is with information. And we can gather that information from just about anywhere, right? That information comes from both internal and external sources. It is your responsibility to figure out what information you're lacking and seek out that information from the appropriate sources. All right. So maybe my belief that I'm not worthy really comes from a fear of being alone, or it really comes from a fear of not being good enough. Identify those fears, gather the information you need to combat those fears, and get about the business of moving through your journey. And that's it. That's how you overcome mental and emotional blocks to your success. Fact check. Fiction versus nonfiction, appropriate expectations, capable, and timid. These are the exact steps that I used to pull myself out of my own deep, dark place back in 2012. Right? And these are the same steps that I teach in the masterclass. I go a lot deeper in the masterclass. This is just scratching the surface. The masterclass really is the blueprint to kickstart your journey of healing and manifestation. Okay, so this is just a small piece of what we talk about in the masterclass. All right. So I want to know your thoughts about my fact checking system. Do you think this is something that you'll be able to use in your own life? Has this conversation helped you like help you to understand why you've been stuck in the same place since like forever? Like, talk to me. I want to know. All right, shoot me an email at unicornstalkpod@latricesampsonrichards.com and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, coming up next is high five. Okay, so this weekend I had an opportunity to attend the South Florida Women of Color Empowerment Conference, and it was so good, y'all. I really, really enjoyed it. The South Florida Women of Color is an organization that I discovered when we decided to move here to South Florida. Because, like I said, I'm just really looking to start getting involved in things like that again, and so I wanted to know everything that was going on. So, of course, I did a little bit of research before I came down here and I found out about this conference. Now, I have to say, I've never really attended a conference per se, especially not a conference for Black women. I mean, I've been to Essence before, like the empowerment conference kind of stuff, like the sessions that they do during the daytime for Essence. But this was different because this was like a targeted kind of experience, right? And so, and to be honest, I never feel like I really took those other things seriously, which I'm going to talk a lot more about, or a little bit more about when I get to my reality check segment. But so I went to this conference this weekend and it was a new experience for me, and I absolutely loved it. It was awesome from start to finish. The theme this year was building relationships, uniting leaders. And that's exactly what happened for me. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, that is exactly what happened this weekend. I was able to build a lot of, relationships, or like to start the process of building a lot of relationships. My plan for this weekend, when I decided that I was going to go to this event, I was telling my husband, like, babe, I think it's a good, event for me to go to because I don't have no friends. I know a few people in the area, but I don't really have any friends here in this area. I've only been here, I mean, less than 3 months I've been here. So I haven't really left the house much yet. Okay. So it was a chance for me to meet people, but then also to start really building a base here in South Florida. This is where we live. This is where we're going to live. For all intents and purposes, this is where my husband and I are going to start laying some roots. And so, if I'm building a business and building a brand, I have to set roots in this area. I need to have connections in this area, it's so that I can have a springboard to kind of branch out from, right? And that's just strictly from a business standpoint. Okay. So, my goals going into this weekend was to make some personal connections and people that I can just talk to and communicate with, and like, hey girl, hey, let's get some wine, or something like that. But then also to be able to make some professional connections, to grow my business and really grow my brand. And I was able to accomplish both of those things this weekend, and I'm really excited about it. They had a long, long list of awesome and amazing speakers and panelists, and I'm going to highlight just a few of those panelists, the ones that stood out the most to me. And it's just, I'm going to tell y'all a few stories because y'all know I love a good story or whatever. So I'm going to talk to y'all about what my experience of this weekend was and what were the moments that really stood out the most for me. So first and foremost, Friday night was like a small group session. Not everybody attended on Friday night, and it was so good. I was glad that I had a chance to actually participate in that experience. So the speaker for the evening was Vanessa DeLuca, who's the former editor in chief of Essence magazine. Now I freaking love this woman. I heard her on an interview that she did on Dreams and Drive podcast. If you've never, hey, shout out to Dreams and Drive. Hey, girl. If you've never listened to Dreams and Drive podcast, you definitely need to do yourself a favor, especially if you are an entrepreneur trying to grow your business. It's a really great podcast. So, anyway, I first heard, well, not first, but I heard Miss DeLuca do an interview on Dreams and Drive podcast. And that was really what made me be like, okay, like I really want to research this woman. I want to know who this woman is. Okay. She did a discussion on diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And really was a dynamic discussion. And of course, I always use any opportunity to learn as an opportunity to learn, And so I had a chance to ask her a question whereby I was confronting my own biases around in my business, not wanting to hire white people. And I mean, let's just be real. I'm gonna just be all the way real. Like I it's something I'm working with and working through within myself in my business. I don't have a problem with working with white people or non people of color, I'll say, because it's not just specifically white people. Honestly, it's not. I don't have a problem with working with and partnering with non people of color. But when it comes to the running of the daily ins and outs of my business, I struggle with that. I'm not gonna lie, because my brand is for and about Black women, and so I have this mental block, and I know that it's not reasonable, but it exists, and I'm working through it. I'm doing my best to work through it, because at the end of the day, I want to work with people who will best serve my brand, who will help me to grow my brand and reach my audience. And so to have something as ridiculous as cultural background or race be a part of what I like, I don't even want to be that person, right? So I'm working through that. And so I felt like she was very understanding of that, and she gave me some good feedback. And then afterwards, I was able to actually meet her and talk to her, which is one of the things that I really enjoyed about this conference, which was that like these people who we see on TV and these people that we look up to and things like that, like they were so accessible to us. Like we really had a chance to touch them and hug them and speak to them and experience them, because it was a really cozy kind of experience. It wasn't huge and massive like Essence, but it was still very impactful. And so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Vanessa DeLuca, diversity and inclusion in the workplace. It was awesome and amazing. And then that Friday night, they had a diversity reception by the sea, because the hotel we stayed in, the Fort Lauderdale Marriott, and it's like literally on the fucking ocean. Like it was awesome and amazing, y'all. It was really nice. And I met some women that night who I believe will really be able to give me what I need on a personal level, like women that I feel like I really was able to connect with. And I'm excited about that. I have friends, don't get me wrong, but I don't really have a lot of friends in this area. And so being able to communicate with those women and like find women that I could connect with, that was really, really, really huge for me. So I was excited about that. Then Saturday, there was a full day of panel discussions and keynotes, and there was a luncheon and all kinds of stuff. Some of the ones that stood out to me was Carla Hall. Listen, Carla Hall is a chef, author, and co host of The View. I freaking love Carla Hall. And she is everything that you see on television. She is that in real life. Like she's such an awesome spirit and like an awesome personality. And she talked about authenticity, and she talked about like her journey through her career. I didn't know that she didn't get on Top Chef until she was 44 years old. That gave me hope. You know what I'm saying? Because I just had a birthday or whatever, and I'd be feeling like, girl, am I too old to be chasing this dream? But no, I'm not. You're not. You're never too old to be chasing your dream as long as you're smart about it, right? But she didn't even make it on to Top Chef until she was 44 years old, and she was saying how she just was in pursuit of her career, trying to find her. Well, in her career, trying to find her authenticity, and how she started off in accounting, and she went through so many different life changes and career changes until she found what made her happy, and she landed on food, and discovered that that's what made her happy. And she talked about how when she came on Top Chef, nobody really took her seriously because because she was 44, I guess. And she said that she was like the disposable one, right? And how nobody took her seriously, but how she ended up building this career from that opportunity, and like she's this freaking powerhouse now. So I was very inspired by that. She gave us she says her personal mantra, I think it was, which is the 6 word novel, and that is: say yes, adventure follows, then growth. And I thought that was so just dynamic. I don't know. I was very much enamored by her. She talked about a time, she told us a story about a time that she was hosting an award show or something like that, and as she was coming out to host this major award show, she knew that she was about to fall, right? Like she was about to take a fall, because when you're about to fall. I always know when I'm about to fall, right? So she said that she said to herself, okay, you gotta fall, right? Like this is happening. It's nothing that you're gonna be able to do to stop this from happening. You got to fall, right? And so the question is, how do you want to fall, right? Like, how do you fall? And then what do you do after the fall? And she said that in that moment, she decided that if I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall big, right? So she made a big splash of it, and she fell big. And then she got up, and the audience was a little hesitant, like they didn't know whether to laugh. I mean, somebody fall, like you don't know what to do. You don't know if you want to laugh because the shit is funny, but you don't know if to laugh or what. And so she said after she fell, she got up, she went to the edge of the stage, and she looked at the audience and she said, "Now y'all know that shit was funny." Right? Like y'all know that shit was funny, right? And she so you fall big and you recover bigger, right? And I just I was so inspired by that. I was inspired by her. I had a chance to hug her, wrap my arms around her, and love on her, and just experience her spirit. And that was awesome and amazing. And she actually gave us like some tips on a really good recipe, but y'all know I'm gonna figure that thing out for cassava, coconut milk, and thyme. She didn't really give us no measurements on how to put that thing together, but she was saying that that's a thing that you could put together. So if you know how to put those three ingredients together, holla at your girl, because I'm trying to figure that out. Okay. And then who else? For the luncheon, we had April Ryan, who is the national White House correspondent, who I love, me some April Ryan. April Ryan, she talked about being in the White House, reporting on the White House and how it has changed over the years. And she also talked about Black women being under attack in this country right now, which we saw this weekend with Serena Williams, right? And my guest next week, I'm going to be talking with Jade Payadu, who had her own experience of being under attack for being a Black woman. And we're going to talk more about the whole Serena Williams thing next weekend. So just know that, excuse me, next week. So just know that you want to tune in for next week's episode. But April Ryan, she talked about how Black women are under attack in this country. And she talked about the White House and the state of the White House and things like that. She has a new book out, and things like that. And one of the things that what she said that really stood out the most to me was, she said that she keep telling her friends that one of these days she gonna stand up and take a knee inside that press room. And y'all, I live, okay? I cannot wait for the day that April Ryan takes a knee in the White House press room. Y'all, I can't wait for it to happen. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait for it to happen. So I hope it happens soon, because it definitely needs to. But April Ryan was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed her talk. She was very entertaining, but she was also very informative. And so I appreciated that. And then the highlight of Saturday for me, really, I feel like the highlight of the whole like weekend for me was I got to meet, talk to, hug, and get a woo 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 from Kim Coles. Y'all, Kim Coles gave me two woo woo woos, one Friday night and one Saturday night. And I just need y'all to understand what that did for me. So if you listened to my show a couple weeks ago, then you know that there recently was the 25th anniversary of Living Single and Martin, but specifically Living Single. And Living Single is one of my favorite shows of all time. I absolutely love Living Single. And I enjoy all of the characters, but Sinclair James is the character that had the most impact on me personally in my life. I am Sinclair in a lot of ways. Like, don't get it twisted. I am Sinclair James. She was the original awkward Black girl. Well, not the original, but for our generation, she was the awkward Black girl. You know what I'm saying? And she made it okay to be the awkward Black girl. And so I definitely had a full circle moment, with Kim Coles, just having an opportunity to hold her hand, look her in her eye and eyes, because she got two of them, and really like just tell her how she impacted me personally, and like how her portrayal of Sinclair James really helped me to find my own place in this world. Like, that was a complete full circle moment for me. And y'all know I asked her to be a guest on my show, right? I ain't get a definitive yes, but I did get the information for her publicist, and so or her media relations person or whatever. I don't remember the actual name of like the lady title or whatever. So I'm definitely going to follow up with that. How awesome would it be if I get to talk to Kim Coles? She actually did a panel discussion about Superwoman syndrome with Sope Aluko, which I am absolutely positive I'm saying incorrectly. She played the shaman in Black Panther. She was like the protector of the purple plant. And Lamont Rucker, who is an actor on Greenleaf. And I feel like I learned a lot about Lamont Rucker this weekend that I didn't know and really didn't know that I wanted to know. But apparently I did want to know. And it was really interesting. And that panel discussion was led by Karen Hunter, who is the host of the Karen Hunter Show on Sirius XM Radio. I freaking love Karen Hunter. Karen Hunter frequently and often gives zero fucks, and I enjoy every bit of that. And so, anyway, it was an awesome, like, just listening to the panel about Superwoman syndrome and just everything that they had to offer about it. Of course, because I do this show and because I work with Black women, in my mind I had things that I would love to add to that conversation. So clearly that's going to be an upcoming episode. We're definitely going to talk about Superwoman syndrome, but the conversation in and of itself was awesome and amazing. And I got to meet I got to meet Kim Coles. I got to meet Kim Coles and get my book signed by her. So she has a new book out. She's really moving into doing more speaking and empowerment and things like that, teaching people how to tell their stories to make an impact on people's lives. And so, yeah, that was awesome and amazing. And then on Sunday, they had the Spirit of Sisterhood breakfast, which was beautiful. Okay, it was beautiful, and the keynote was Reverend Lori Morton. Um, and I had never heard of her before, but I thoroughly enjoyed Lori Morton. And I just want her to know that I thoroughly enjoyed Lori Morton because what she does is she combines uh, you know counseling and theoretical practices with theological practices, which I feel like is a piece that is really missing in the Black church, is that everybody talks about the theological principles, everybody talk about the Bible, everybody talk about give it over to the Lord and pray and all of that, but we are skipping over that. It negates the actual steps that are involved in making change in our lives. And I feel like that's why so many people really, really struggle with Christianity and living right and things like that because it's not enough to just say give it to the Lord. Like the Lord give you shit back, but you got to take some steps in order to really be able to utilize the things that he's given you back. And so I really thoroughly enjoyed her talk. I felt like, as the church folks say, I felt like she was talking to me, girl. She was talking to me. And so that was awesome and amazing. The weekend was really good. And so, high five to the South Florida Women of Color Empowerment Institute for putting this event together. High five to all of the attendees who were there, all of the ladies that I was able to make connections with, all of the ladies that joined Trust Village as a result. And I'm looking forward to all of the relationships and building those relationships from this point forward. So high five to the Women of Color Empowerment Institute and Kim Coles and April Ryan and Karen Hunter and all those folks, Carla Hall and everybody like that. Y'all put on an amazing event, and I appreciate you for that. Okay. Now, reality check today. It really stems from my experience of the conference this weekend, right? And like I said before, I feel like this is the first time that I've really attended a conference or an event like this, which is insane considering that my work focuses on Black women. but it is. And so I had to really think about why that is. Like, why is it that this is the first time in my adult life that I've attended a conference of this sort? And what I came up with is because I have created, like, I have this aversion to events like this because of past experiences that I had growing up. You know, like I said, I grew up in a church, in a Black Catholic church, and we were involved in everything. I've always been in groups, what I call the church lady groups. You know, I was in Knights of Peter Claver, the junior daughters, and like we've always been a part of structured organizations and things like that. And one of the things that I always hated, and then I actually went on to become a Delta, and like I've always been a part of these kind of organizations. And one of the things that has always frustrated me about these spaces and being in these types of organizations where there are large groups of Black women that are community based experiences or community based organizations is that you have to deal with these personalities. Like, in any of you who are a part of a sorority or a church lady organization, y'all already know what I'm about to say. But there is, within the organization, there tends to be a lot of bickering. It's a lot of politics that happens inside of these organizations, and not just when it's only Black women. This is all, I feel like, all Black organizations, you know what I'm saying, like Urban League, all of them. It doesn't matter what it is. And there's this pecking order that kind of is in place, and it's not really talked about, but it is experienced, and everybody experiences it. And it really bothers me to have to try to navigate that, because aren't we all here for the same purpose? Aren't we all here for the betterment of our communities? And so I think what has happened is that over the years, I have such a distaste for those things that I have created a judgment in my mind where I automatically judge any type of experience like this, like these empowerment events and things like that, because I'm like, are y'all really about doing the work, or is it just for show? You know what I'm saying? And so this weekend really forced me to, I think, confront my own biases in those ways, because I really was fulfilled from this event. Like, my life was impacted in a positive way from the experience of this event, which I think going into it, I had hoped for, but I don't think that I really believed that that was going to happen. And that's because of my biases that I was holding about Black people groups and church lady groups and things like that. And so my reality check is, like I said, more so for myself this week than it is for anybody. But I'm sure that if you're listening to this show, it's because you feel a connection to me in some way, which means that you probably, maybe on some level have this feeling as well. The reality check is that if you are about the work, then you need to be where the work is taking place. And you cannot allow yourself to be not able or not in a position to do the work simply because of how you feel about the people that are there. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Like, the message is still valid even if you don't like the person that's giving you the message, right? Or if you don't like necessarily enjoy the environment that it's taking place in. So, I'm really pushing myself to overcome a lot of the biases that I have, because I feel like those biases are stopping me from being able to manifest and stopping me from being able to be successful in my own journey. And so this was one of my things that I didn't even realize was one of my things until this weekend. So inspiration comes from all kinds of places. We learn about ourselves from, in any experience is an opportunity for growth, and this was definitely an opportunity for growth for me. I was inspired by the women in that space, and I had to confront my own biases around large gatherings of Black people and Black women. And what I learned is that I need to put myself in a position to grow. I need to because even though I'm sure they have their mess, they have their drama and all of that, everybody does, those women are making an impact in their communities in their own respective ways. And I can learn from them. I did learn from them. And so avoiding those types of gatherings and avoiding those types of experiences because of a small piece of how I feel, or because of a bias that I've created as a result of some childhood freaking experiences that I had, is asinine. And I ain't nobody ass. You know what I'm saying? I ain't nobody ass. So I ain't trying to allow myself to stay stuck in that place. All right. So that's your reality check for today. I'm also catching up on Insecure. So I'm going to do a recap of Insecure next week because I'm just now getting a chance to catch up on it. Okay. So I'll get back to my Insecure check ins next week. All right. Okay. So I want to give a shout out again to the South Florida Women of Color Empowerment Institute. I also want to give a shout out to all of the connections that I made at the conference. Y'all gonna be hearing from me probably today or tomorrow, so I'm really looking forward to that. Um, don't forget that I'm going to be hosting a Lunch and Learn webinar this Friday, September 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern. It is called Unlock the Law of Attraction in Your Life. It is free to register for the webinar and to attend the live recording, and you will have an opportunity to purchase the replay afterwards. So check out the link in the show notes to register for free for the Unlock the Law of Attraction in Your Life webinar today. Also, don't forget that you can work with me one on one using Talkspace. Talkspace is an online therapy platform that makes therapy convenient and attainable for those who don't have the time to leave work and go to an office. Now you can reach out to your therapist any time of day or night inside your secure online therapy room and share things when they are still fresh on your mind. I absolutely love Talkspace. I love the platform. It's easy to use, and I love being able to send voice notes and video messages to my clients and to communicate with them more in depth. I actually just got a new couple that I'm working with, and one of my clients actually listens to the show. So, hey, girl, hey, if you're listening to this episode right now, I was talking with her the other day, and she sent me a voice note, and she was like, "Yeah, I was listening to your episode of last week's episode about submission, and you're so right." And she really listened to the episode, and she really told me everything that she got from the episode that impacted what we were working on right now at this moment. So that was very fulfilling for me, and that was awesome and amazing. So if you live in the state of Louisiana, make sure that you sign up for Talkspace. If you're looking for some one-on-one help and you're on a budget, girl, I understand. I get it. Sign up for Talkspace. If you live in the state of Louisiana, you can ask for me directly by name. But even if you don't live in Louisiana, there are lots and lots and lots of awesome and amazing therapists. You can even select the specific type of background you want your therapist to have. If you want to work with a Black therapist, you can work with a Black therapist. If you want to work with a therapist that is gay, that has experience in the LGBT community, like personal experience, you can request that. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, it's about getting what it is that you need in order to be successful in your journey. Okay. So check out Talkspace and ask for me by name or let them know that I sent you. Okay. Talkspace is therapy for how you live. All right. Also, get your tickets to see Unicorns Talk podcast live at a Pod Connection ATL on Saturday, October 6th. Tickets are $25, but you can use my special code Unicorns Talk, all caps, two words, and get $5 off. So check them out online to get your tickets. And you can also register for the meet and greet, which is going to be that Friday night, October 5th, when you purchase your tickets. Okay. Also, if you have not yet, register for my free Empower Your Vision Masterclass. The link is also in the show notes. And join me inside Trust Village, which is my free Facebook group, a safe space for healing and manifestation, so that you can have direct access to me or whatever, and sign up for my newsletter. Okay. Follow me on all of the social medias. You can follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Unicorns Talk Pod, or check us out online at latricesampsonrichards.com/unicorns talk pod, or you can follow me directly on Facebook and Instagram at Latrice Sampson Richards, or on Twitter at L Sam Richards, which if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I've been doing a better job with my Twitter or whatever. I'm trying to make it happen. I'm trying to get out there and talk to y'all and communicate with y'all and things like that. Baby steps. You know what I'm saying? Baby steps. But steps nonetheless. Don't knock my hustle or whatever. Okay? All right, that's all I got for y'all today. That is the end of episode 44 of Unicorns Talk Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm really excited about next week's show. Like I said, I'm going to be talking with Jade Payadu, and we're going to be talking about the policing of Black women in our bodies. And we're going to talk about the Serena Williams situation from this weekend, and also Jade's own personal experience of policing by white people. And so that's going to be a really great episode. I'm looking forward to it, and you should too. Okay. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. And until next time, be well. Bye, y'all.